Hi everyone, I'm Lady Mariam. Welcome to Grimmfest once again. With us here today is AJ Bowen, co-writer and actor in Night Sky. Hey AJ.
How are you?
I'm okay. I just spilled a bottle of water on my skirt.
I'm going number one right now.
It's nice. I feel like this is bonding us. Dry clothing is for losers. We already bonded
last year, so now it's getting deep.
A little too deep. Actually, so deep that part of the gear is in his pants as we speak. How does it feel?
It's a little tight, but we're going to get through it. I'm trying to stay relaxed. Does my jaw visibly clench? I'm trying to keep it loose.
The key is to just go like 1 millimeter at a time. Just take your time.
Well, that's not what he did. He shoved it all in right away.
Our camera guy is, what did he say? Someone who takes charge?
Yeah, elbow deep.
He's been working with me all day. I think he learned that. Thanks, Tony. Okay, so Night Sky, yeah. What's it about?
That's really tricky to discuss without spoiling the whole thing.
True.
But so the idea is, well, what I wrote, I wanted to do sort of, so there's noir, but the type of noir that I'm talking about is not the 40s stuff. It's more like Don Siegel, Monty Hellman, Tulane Blacktop style stuff. So that was a big motivating factor because we weren't seeing movies like that happening right now. Or when we made it. And then aesthetically, what really was sort of like the children of that. So, I'm aging myself here, but it's like when I was in college in the 90s, it seemed like people were making a lot of movies that were sort of referencing that, 90s neo-noir, Red Rocks West kind of stuff, 2 Days in the Valley, Feeling Minnesota. So there's a very specific aesthetic that 25 years removed, we didn't see, but we see now. So that's kind of what we wanted to do. We wanted to do a road picture, basically like a Starman meets Monty Hellman, Tulane Blacktop kind of mashup, because I really enjoy when you take elements. I'm a lifelong horror guy, obviously, but there's a lot for me that encompasses that, like thriller, sci-fi. These are, to me, like sort of lights for the tone of how we're going to get this done. And so that was sort of the task. And I was motivated, no joke, and I don't mean this lightly, but when Robin Williams passed, I was going through, like a lot of people were, and watching some of his catalog that I hadn't watched in a while, and one of them was Fisher King. And right after Fisher King said, you may also like Starman. I was like, I haven't watched that in forever. So I decided to look at it, and I thought, obviously I love it, but I thought, for me, what I'm interested in what about a platonic love story? And the reason I thought of this, again, also not a joke, which I know is rare, but like the movie version of 21 Jump Street, if you look at it, it's purely structured as a romantic comedy, but it's about two heteronormative dudes becoming best friends. And so I was interested in what about two lonely people finding each other on this road trip and sort of not falling in romantic love, but becoming friends. Maybe somebody that never had a friend, that just didn't have anybody in their life. That fascinated me. And also at the time when we were having a lot of necessary conversations about gender dynamics, power dynamics, especially in film, I've noticed at the time that we're having a lot of conversations where men are complicated, men are messy, and women are crazy. That's where it just seemed to go. And so that was sort of the impetus for what if there's this female who is saying that she's an astral cosmic creature, and what would the natural response to that be? And then is that real or is it not? And that's just sort of where the journey went with it.
I mean, the characters are the driving force of this plot, and there's a lot to dissect, which you will see once you see the film. And what I loved about the characters is that they're such an enigma, and we do learn about them throughout the plot, but a lot of those questions we have to answer for ourselves. Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with only getting a limited amount of information and the characters only working with what they have. Now, in your specific case, you co-wrote it and you play the lead character. I almost feel like that would be more of a challenge because you know more about the character than a random actor would. Was that always the plan, or
yes.
Okay?
We kind of I get tired with modern storytelling. There's this sort of need to explain everything definitively, and to me, there's several times when you write a movie. There's the script stage, which I handled, and then I took it to Jacob, and then we started finessing it and figuring it out. Then there's the time when you're shooting the movie, and it gets rewritten again because you've got everyone there. And in this particular case, that was intentional as well. We intentionally got everybody on board that doesn't do one thing. Like, I'm a producer and a writer and an actor and a director, and so is Bria, and so is Scott Poitras, and we had a crew of like 7 people making the movie, and we needed that. We needed to be able to have people working on it that could do every job. When I'm not on camera, when it's Bria's coverage, I can be hauling cable or holding a boom if the other sound guy's needing to get something else. That's just very necessary. But the other thing for me is that the final time that a movie gets written is when an audience watches it, and it's their personal experience. And I don't believe that me as the initial writer or actor has a right to explain to them whether or not they had whatever their relationship is with it. And so I was like, well, we don't have to explain everything, because not every movie has to do that. Most of the movies that I love, and it's also the characters that you're talking about too. I miss characters from a lot of modern cinema that are messy. We live in an age where we're not down with people being messy, making mistakes. It's like one and done, you're out forever. And I wanted to sort of explore people that are, a little screwed up, because we all are. And what does redemption look like? Who determines that? Like, ultimately an individual does. And the people on Twitter don't decide that. The individual does after the work they put in. And so that sort of mystery about, like, for example, what happened to Oren at the very beginning of the movie, we know what it is. And as a matter of fact, for some of this stuff, we shot explanations just in case, but our intent was for it to be how it is. And we ended up, there's an extra 25 minutes of finished movie that we were like, this is telling people too much how to think or what to feel about it, and this is a little too on the nose. So let's leave it a little bit like this and leave it open to interpretation, because that's sort of, in my opinion, the point of art,
I feel like a lot of filmmakers, they go in with the mindset that the audience is not particularly sharp, and they kind of have to spell it out for them in order for them to enjoy the film. And obviously, especially when it comes to genre films, you're talking to people who will enjoy something schlocky for fun, but they'll also enjoy something layered and intellectual that they can dissect. The audiences I know are very clever and very curious and very interested. So it's refreshing to always see a film where the filmmakers are like, yeah, they're not a dumb audience.
We're lucky. I'm extremely unintelligent. So if we just do it to the level that I can handle
You can handle it.
It's very easy for everybody else to understand.
So what does it feel like to watch your movie and not understand half of it?
It's fine. It's like watching a foreign language film without subtitles.
Oh, okay, yeah,
which
that
I
makes
heard
sense.
happened recently.
No, never. Briefly, maybe. We fixed it right away. It was very, very professional handling.
I love this place. I'm just giving people shit. That's what I do.
Yeah, so do we. When the camera's off, I'll be way worse to AJ. This is the professional facade.
Still so far in my ass.
It's going deeper. So when it comes, because we're teasing the film here, not just what's in your pants, what kind of audience would you recommend this film to?
Extremely intelligent. Okay. That's tricky, right? Because you don't, as a storyteller, I'm not really trying to make a story for a particular audience. I have friends who do that, but I think that the best way for me, the only way that I can go about it, is trying to make something that I would want to watch. And then that will, if I do my job, if we do our job, it will connect with the people that it's supposed to. And I've said it before, I've been saying it for like 2 decades now, that like my ambition when telling stories professionally is that the world can be a really tough place. And the whole thing for me is, if I can work on something, if we can make something that no matter what somebody's day was like, their personal life, what challenges, what tragedies they face, that they can come in and for 90 minutes forget about those troubles, and hopefully that through that experience on the backside of it, life will be a little bit more tolerable. I mean, I'm not looking to harm people when I've made some of those, but I didn't write those. And so for me, audience, hopefully people that like stuff that is a little counterculture, because it is. I mean, it's not crazy, left field stuff, but it's a bit different and it's atypical of what people are making right now. And that's by design. Maybe people that are into some of the stuff that we talked about, neo-noir, sci-fi that isn't overly intellectual, that doesn't think you to death, that it's still visceral. And also fans of Scott Poitras, because he crushes his performance in this movie. He's not as good as me, but nobody is. Nobody is.
Totally.
But he and Bria are fine. They're fine. So anybody that's a fan of Bria and Scott, you get me as a bonus.
They're great in it, by the way.
They're wonderful.
AJ bonus. Yeah. So you have to see Night Sky. We were trying to hold back because we don't want to spoil anything, but I promise you, once you've seen the film, you're going to have quite a few questions that, maybe you'd like to discuss with your friends. But for now, I recommend watch Night Sky. I'm Lady Mariam, and this has been Grimmfest and AJ Bowen. Thank you for being here.
No problem. Can you get out of my ass now?